Hello, everybody. How are you? Uh, it's Eric. To my gamer friends, it's Devin Donder. Ooh, looks like we might be having some issues here on my phone. Let's try that again. Connecting to Wi-Fi. Get the old TV turned off. Let's try this one more time. It's Eric. To my gamer friends, it's Devin Donder, and to everyone else, it is Gumball Head. Hello, Cole. How are you? Hello, on my phone. I'm not sure what's. Oh yeah, this Gumball Head. This my phone. Hello. I'm just watching people come in. Yeah, wow, this is so great. First, I just want to start off tonight by saying thank you very much. Every single person that watches these videos is support to me, and it's fantastic because you guys are supporting my sobriety, and you guys are supporting my mission in life, and that is to help other people through social media. And realistically speaking, I'm not a huge fan of social media, but I'm addicted to it. We can't not get away from social media because any business that's successful anymore has social media, and interactions and conversations take place on social media. But unfortunately, in social media as a whole, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, well, not so much Pinterest, but Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, there's a lot of discontent between people, and that's kind of where we're at tonight, and that's kind of where our conversation is going to come from, or my blabber mouthing. So let's explore tonight violence in a violent society. Okay, so violence, the definition of violence is simply this: it is power or exertion of power or exertion of strength in order to gain an upper hand with the intention of doing harm. Now, most people would see violence as I'm going to punch you in the face, or I'm going to shoot you, or I'm going to stab you, or whatever it is. But let's be honest with each other. Violence has a substantial plethora of definition. Okay, so when we think about violence, we constantly are observing the fact that violence is physical. It's causing harm physically, but we forget about a lot of things in violence when it comes to mental health, when it comes to long-term, let's see here. What's the best term to use here? When it comes to long-term effects on somebody's brain, when it comes to long-term effects on somebody's health, you don't have to physically assert yourself or physically exert violence, physical violence to somebody in order to make them feel ill long-term, because when it plays with your mind, it eventually plays with your body. So tonight I'm going to explore some things that are pretty big topics, and some things that we kind of don't really realize. So first of all, this is called the power and control wheel. Not sure how well we could see it there, but this is the power and control wheel, and I'm going to show it on both cameras here. So the power and control wheel is was created for, really what it was created for was to show the dominance of violence in relationships, domestic violence. Okay, and there are minimal effects, and there are long-term effects, and then there are large effects. Okay, they can be things such as intimidation. So as I was saying, intimidation and coercion, emotional abuse, as I already said, isolation, controlling what people do, controlling what people think and how they do things, what they see, where they go, who they hang out with, making sure that you don't talk to your parents or talk to your friends, or making you, in a domestic partnership or relationship, you can't hang out with this person, you can't talk to that person, and a lot of people don't realize that that's what's going on. Denying and minimizing and blaming, when people deny certain situations, or they blame others, it's your fault, or making light of abuse or physical violence, saying it never happened, or shifting blame. We also have that categorization of victim blaming, using children. Now, mind you, this particular part of the conversation here right now is solely based on the domestic violence aspect of things. Okay, so we're going to get into violence, but we're going to get this out of the way. and this is the Duluth model of domestic violence. This is the power and control wheel from the Duluth model of domestic violence. Using children, putting them in positions to where the child feels guilty, which will put the blame on the other parent or on the other, ex-wife, ex-husband, step parents, whatever, using the children in order to get leverage. Privilege, and this particular one here says privilege, but I like to use the explanation of male privilege or white male privilege. Okay. There's no secret to society right now that the middle class white male has all the power, right? I mean, we have a upper class white male in power in politics, and most of the politicians in DC are that way. So the hierarchy of power stems from, unfortunately, the white male. So I'm not saying that I utilize this to my advantage, but I'm already at an advantage when it comes to things because I'm white, I'm male, and I'm middle class, and I'm middle aged. So I've got a lot of things going for me there, but that is very easy to take advantage of, and that's why I'm expressing this to people. Economic abuse. Some relationships, you can't get a job. You have to stay home and watch the kids. And that keeps people from going outside and learning things and doing things and making money and broadening the horizons. And, or let's go even deeper. There are some relationships where people, where ladies or males are waiters or waitresses, bartenders, bar waitresses, hairstylists, strippers, stuff like that. They are suppressed because of the fact that that they're suppressed because you can't. I mean, the person in power and control can utilize that as an over sexualization of that particular person's career path and the way their form of making money. And there are people out there that will come into a relationship as a waitress, and over time the relationship develops and the other person in the relationship gets jealous of the fact. And when I say that, I'm just saying hypersexualization of careers out there. The more seductive you dress or flirtatious you are, the more money you make. There's no secret to that. Okay. And that's why a lot of men, middle class white men, are drawn to the hairstylists out there, such as the barbershops that have multiple chairs. And that's why men are attracted to these strip clubs. And that's why the men are attracted, and women too, don't get me wrong, but I'm speaking from a male standpoint here. And they're attracted to the different locations that have the females that are going to dress a little bit more sultry, a little bit more, intentional to draw that attention in. And we see that as male attracted to female, but on the other side of things, when that relationship causes that issue because the male is jealous of the female or the male is jealous of the other males that are seeing their female, there is a situation in unrecognized disconnect in the fact that you can't do this anymore because you're a whore. I'll say it there. And then, as I said earlier, too, coercion and threats. So when we look at the power control wheel, a lot of people don't realize that there's domestic violence everywhere we look. Excuse me, it's been a long evening. Did a lot of talking today. But there's domestic violence everywhere we look. And when we hear domestic violence, we think immediately, man hits woman, man goes to jail, man gets arrested, man goes, through all this stuff. But it's not just men, it's women. It works both ways. Now in society, you have male and male relationships, female relationships, and a lot of times in same-sex relationships, gender roles are assumed by the people in the relationship. So that creates difficulties. So here's the thing, the stigma attached to it is it's not just men going to jail anymore. It's not just men getting arrested. Women are being held accountable too, but the court system is so confused about how they actually, whoa, the batteries run low. The court system is so confused as to how to prosecute the ladies that typically I'm sorry folks, I'm looking for my battery charger here. Typically the women are held less accountable because of the fact that they don't know what to do with them. They don't know how to charge them. They don't know how to hold them accountable. So hopefully that just fixed my Battery. My tablet, my PC has been plugged in for a week, and I just noticed that. I apologize, folks. Didn't mean to get sidetracked. So, domestic violence, done, out of the way, conversed about. We'll revisit that here in a few short minutes because it ties into everything here. But here is what stimulated my mind to talk about this here. Okay? Here's what, and you're absolutely right, that the wheel does bring attention to relationships, and it's not just domestic relationships, it's friendships too. And it's just crazy. It's insane how that works, and how that just all intertwines itself. So here's the thing, okay? We all know about the stuff that's going on in politics right now with the alleged suicide of, well, let's not give him any credibility. Let's just say bad guy died and they said it was suicide. Okay. So I understand it. I get it. I didn't look too deeply into it. I should have. I know, but I'm focusing on other things in my life. I know that it impacts my life. I know it impacts society. I know it impacts our nation wide. But let's get right to the point here. We had back-to-back shootings last week. Okay. I only heard about them through social media. I don't watch TV very often anymore. I just don't. I don't have time. I'm playing video games or getting ready for these broadcasts, or I'm working, or I'm going to meetings, or I'm working on recovery-based shit, and I'm always busy doing something. And I've got school looming. It starts back up next week. So I'm extremely busy all the time, and I do that on purpose, although it could be my downfall in a lot of aspects, especially relationships. But it is what it is, okay? I don't watch TV, long story short. But I heard about these back-to-back shootings, and they were within hours of each other. And here's the thing. America saw it, they addressed it, and they moved on. The next day, everything was hunky-dory. I heard conversations about it, but nothing exceptional. It wasn't even conversations, it was mentions. And that fucking sucks, okay? We're so desensitized to violence now. And if we watch TV, if we sit down and we watch TV for 2 hours, let's put it on, what's a big network here? Fox? Fox is nationwide, right? So sit down and watch Fox, not during prime time and not during news time. Let's say 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's not prime time. That's before the news. News sometimes comes on at 5. I don't know if it does on Fox TV, but I'm never home in time to watch TV anyways at 5 in the afternoon. But we'll say 4 o'clock. And my experiences in the past, actually, no, let's go to 1 o'clock when The Price is Right is on. Okay, so we sit down, we watch Channel 3, WWMT, whatever it is. It's here in Michigan, it's Channel 3. And The Price is Right comes on at either 11 or 1 or whatever. And we're watching WWMT, okay? We're watching Price is Right, okay? And there's good, wholesome entertainment on there. But if we look back to where Bob Barker was when he was on the stage, let's talk about that hypersexualization of females. The ladies on that show were not scantily dressed, but they were showing more skin than what is appropriate for the time. Now it's even worse, and that's fine. Lots of makeup, there to be pretty, there to be gawked at, there to present products, present prizes to people, okay? I'm not saying that's violence or anything like that. I'm just saying this ties into it. So if we're watching The Price is Right, chances are we're not going to see anything happen on The Price is Right, right? But what's going on around the world, that happens all the time. In the United States, I saw a stat. I'm not going to be 100% accurate on the stat, but it was somewhere in the mid-200s that we've had mid-200s mass shootings in America this year alone. Okay, we're 10 months into the year, 8 months into the year, and we've had over 200 mass shootings. I've heard of 4 or 5, Vegas, Texas, Ohio, but what happens though? I mean, we accept the stuff and we move on. If we think about the way the world was on 9/12/2001, the day after the World Trade Center was collapsed by the terrorists, if we look at the way America was the day after the terrorist attacks in New York City, America came together, we banded together, and everybody was pissed off, and everybody was angry, and everybody was upset, and everybody was hurt, but we were glued to the TV set, wondering what was going on. We took emotional care of ourselves, and we were physically sick and we were concerned, and we were worried about our firefighters and our first responders and all the people that were injured. You know, the 343 firefighters and paramedics and police officers that lost their lives in that. That's the 343. And then you've got all of the all of the normal people that were in those centers in the World Trade Center. They were working, just doing their job. There were people jumping from windows. Okay, I'm not trying to rehash that incident, but some of our viewers here are a little younger. Okay, and mind you, this is 18 years ago, so this is a year after my son was born. He doesn't remember any of this shit, but he can look back and see all of the things that happened that day, and he can see how America was impacted. If we look at it now, this is almost 20 years ago, but a lot of us can remember like it was yesterday, and a lot of us remember what it was like to band together. I was on a fire department at the time, or actually I was not quite on the fire department at the time, but had I been, I'd have been in my pickup truck driving to New York City to see if there was anything I could do to help, whether it was feeding the people there, offering coffee, sweeping the street, whatever it was. I would have helped. That particular day, I was supposed to come to Michigan and go to a Tool concert. I drove from Fort Wayne, Indiana to Michigan to meet up with a buddy of mine to go to a concert. We drove all the way to Grand Rapids. Mind you, I went into work at 5 o'clock in the morning, get to Grand Rapids, and find out that the Tool concert was canceled. So the terrorists owe me a Tool concert, and all I get now is the constant thoughts of that. So I tie a lot of those events in together of important things in my life. Okay. Tangent, Gumball, whatever. But Tool is a band. New album coming out. Not to plug it. I'm just saying that was my first and only opportunity in my adult life to see this band play. And I have a resentment on that date because of the fact that I didn't get to see this band play. But that is not why I'm upset. I'm upset because of the violence that ensued. And now, if that happened now, would we be back to normal, our normal everyday life tomorrow? If that happened today, would tomorrow we be like, okay, it happened, and then the following day be like, oh, yeah, I heard about that? No, we wouldn't be that way, hopefully. But these shootings, we saw them happen, and we saw them materialize, and we saw the news, and then we went back to being normal. Or at least the people that I know of, they went back to being normal. Why? Because we're desensitized to violence. That was a really long-winded way to get to where my point is, but that's kind of how Gumball Head works. But if we look at those things, if we digest this a little bit, I challenge anybody to argue this with me. We look at that desensitization in 75%. I did see this. MLive did a survey, I think it was MLive, last week or the week before, of these violent crimes that happen in society. Are we less likely to go out and enjoy ourselves on the weekend? And I think it was something like 48% said yes, I'm less likely to go to Wild Bull, go to a nightclub and hang out with my friends because of the incidences, because of the risk of violence happening to me and myself. So these events that happen elsewhere drive us into our homes. Okay, and now we're at home. Okay, the fear of being hurt, the fear of being injured, the fear of violence that's in our society drives us into staying in our homes. And that sucks too, because now what? On the positive side, it drives us to become more family oriented and spend more time with our family and our friends and in our internal relationships. But we're still now we're sitting on our couch, not out enjoying our lives, looking on our phones, checking Twitter, looking at Fox News Live and CNN and flipping through the channels and watching Price is Right. And we're not out there experiencing our lives anymore. Now we're afraid to go out there and do that. Well, here's a kicker of that. Okay. In our neighborhood, I live in a very safe neighborhood. I deem it very safe. Okay. I haven't seen any extreme violence in our neighborhood. There's potential for extreme violence, and our police in the area do a very good job. Okay. Our neighborhood watch does a fantastic job as well. But truth be told, we're sitting inside our homes looking at our Facebooks on our phones, and people are walking down the driveways or walking down the streets stealing mail and shit from our driveways. Really? What the hell? And they're not even people from our neighborhood. That's why I say our neighborhood's safe. A lot of my neighbors I can rely on, especially, the house on either side of me. I adore those people, and I'd go to bat for them 100% of the time. But our neighborhood watch has banded together, and it's gotten so much better because of the fact that we're actually communicating now. So communication there is important too. So we can still fall violence to or we could still fall victim to violence while we're sitting in our homes because people are stealing from us. And while it's not physical violence, it's still violence. And the fact that what happens if I catch somebody in my garage? I'm not going to be a nice guy. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to beat the snot out of somebody. Get out of my garage and don't come back, or at least attempt to, or I'm going to call 911 and let the cops handle it. But chances are I won't do that. So there's a term that we use in some of the groups that I attend, violent sensationalism. Okay, if we look at the Columbine massacre.